Hi, I'm Kirby, Allison, and for years now, I've been exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. I'm an ardent believer that the world needs to move away from fast fashion and from the idea that cheaper is better. Hidden in plain sight is an entire world of artisans and independent craftspeople that are doing work at the highest level, using the same methods and same techniques that they have for decades, if not centuries. I've been invited on my very first game shoot up on an estate in Scotland, and I want to make sure that I do it properly. The proper outfit, the proper guns, the proper etiquette. But in today's world, does all of this still exist? And if so, why? I've always been fascinated with the culture and traditions surrounding the country pursuits of the British gentleman. From fishing to stalking and shooting, the rich heritage behind these pursuits is immediately apparent in the clothing and traditions that surround it. Having been invited up for my first game shoot on an estate in Scotland, I must be properly kitted out. But what exactly does that involve, and where does one go to find it? With that in mind, I'm here on Savile Row, one of the most famous streets in the world for the well-dressed gentleman, to meet with the street's founding tailors, Henry Poole Co. Managing director Simon Cundey is a fifth-generation family member to run this historic company, and he knows better than just about anyone what a gentleman will need for a proper British shoot. Simon.
Kirby.
So nice to be back. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Good to see you again.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a while.
It's been too long,
Yeah.
and I couldn't be more excited to be back, and I've got a very exciting kind of purpose for today's visit. I've enjoyed shooting my entire life, but back in Texas, of course, we call it bird hunting. But one of the things that has always been so fascinating to me is that here in Britain, there is such a unique set of traditions and rules surrounding the country pursuits, especially what you wear. And I think that in many ways, what you wear might even be more important than how good of a shot you are. So I've got a shoot that I'm planning for sometime next year, and I wanted to see if you might help me kind of kit out the proper shooting suit and kind of help guide me through that process of knowing what exactly it is I should be wearing.
Absolutely, Kirby, it would be a pleasure. Obviously, the first thing about, pursuing various types of clothing and being properly attired for everything. So we've been doing it, obviously, since Henry Poole, 1806, to people like Edward VII was probably our dandy prince, as we recall. And he would be dressed for, sailing, he'd be dressed for shooting, many sports that he did. So many of the inventions that came with shooting was actually done by himself and Henry Poole, and many of the techniques and the practicalities came from derivatives that were driven down through ages that made a practical point of view. So I think the first things first is we have to establish what kind of shoot you're going to, whether it's going to be a driving shoot, whether it's going to be a standing shoot, whether it's going to be a stalking shoot, and also the accoutrements, how you dress to go with it. So that's the point first of all. We'll try and give you the most options, so it gives you the options where you feel perfect, look perfect, and whereabouts it would be. If it's going to be in Scotland, England, whereabouts would you be shooting?
So this would be in Scotland.
Okay.
And I'm not precisely sure what type of shoot it'll be, so we'll kind of need a little bit of flexibility built into that. But I want to at least look smart and look like I know what I'm doing. Even in this particular case, I might not.
Right.
So that's kind of as much as I have.
So we need a temperature for number one. You know, it's going to be pretty tough up there. You never know the terrain, driving wind, driving rain. You know, it's a lot of gorse maybe. That's another area, heathers. Open plain land, moss, bog, this kind of thing. So that's one thing about Scotland. You also want the sort of the niceness district checks, that little bit of boldness, because a lot of the estate tweeds, which are up in Scotland and the border countries and even parts of England, have beautiful, bold designs. And this was for the gamekeepers and the landowners to recognise each other by their intricate design. So again, the Prince of Wales check, Edward VII back in the day, his Prince of Wales was actually from the Lady Seafield, the Seafield check, which is actually their area called Glenurquhart.
Okay.
That's why it's called the Glen check.
Glen check,
but
okay.
really, again, it was Lady Seafield that passed on the design to the future prince, who had it made for himself in a brown check. But really, that made it into the Prince of Wales check as we know it today. But those checks all stand out, and that's what we'll show you today.
And that's one of the fascinating things to me, is that, you know, not only is what you wear specific in terms of the design of the garment, right? And it's all very pragmatically grounded, right? So none of it is superfluous details. It all was meant to, have a purpose. But also the fabric is so important as well. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, there's various weights. We start off with about 11 ounce worsted yarn. It's very much the sort of sportive look. It can be a very intricate design, but it's a very soft lunch jacket. Really you wouldn't be shooting with it. It more would be just the lunch parties you'd be tending to. You'd be out for lunch, the Range Rovers might pull up, you'd be out there with your picnic, and everyone's dressed in trousers and a short shooting jacket, or just a sportive jacket with slanted pockets. Then you get standing shoots, a little bit harder fabrics, very much driving, walking, perhaps with dogs through woods, which need to be a little bit tougher terrain. But then the final ones are more the actual stalking, where you're actually down on the ground, crawling across the moors, reaching out to the deer, the stags, these kind of things, where you really need to have a real hard, durable piece. Yeah. And that's going to last you, again, 20 odd years.
Yeah, amazing. And again, different fabrics have been made for each one of these. And I guess to a trained eye, you can almost immediately identify at a distance for which purpose that particular fabric has been woven.
You'll get to see it and you get to feel it, and you'll also wear it. So, there's lots of things into it. So I think, just for examples, I've got a couple of examples while we're here. This is, again, the Norfolk jacket, which is very much overkill with a look of countryside, a half belt going through it. We've got the panels going down here. We've got the bellows pockets coming in. This is lots of room, lots of ability to hold shells. We have more the sort of lounge style three-piece, again for shooting, but it really is for less just a stand shoot. There's no room in this. It has a little pleat at the back at the shoulder. This gives you a little bit of room. But realistically, a lot of the times you'll be actually jacket off with a vest shooting. Okay. So that's the reality of the real shoot at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But again, you can have the slanted pockets, making it very authentic country look. But that's nevertheless more like a sports jacket.
And I guess this is the beauty of bespoke, is that you can basically operate anywhere on that continuum in terms of whether or not it's just something that's shooting inspired that you're just wearing to a lunch in the country, or actually crawling on the ground, stalking proper somewhere in Scotland.
That's it. So all those pointers, especially things like +2s and +4s.
Yeah.
+2s is the actual drop over the knee that gives you the ability to move forward. Now that's great with a standing shoot. You've got a little bit of movement.
So not a full pair of trousers. They're cut short.
No. I mean that's really just for your lunch.
Okay.
If it's going to be shooting, you need to have the +2s.
Okay.
And
what does the +2 refer to? What's the?
It's the actual drop over the knee. So the actual cloth itself.
+2 inches. It's like knees +2.
That's it. So +2 gives you the drop.
Okay.
And that gives you the movement of actually up in the air with your knee. Now, if you want to go crawling down, you need to have a lot more movement to go forward, sideways with your knees. So therefore, you need to have more drop. So that's why it's +4s.
+4s.
So it's +4 inches below your knee.
Yeah. And that would drop down farther maybe
Exactly.
to the kind of the top of the calf.
Exactly.
And again, it's giving you that extra fabric. And then you would be wearing just a traditional pair of brogues with long socks that come...
Ideally long socks with the garters to keep it up there. We'll give you a strap and buckle so that you can pull it in.
Okay.
A lot of guys do use Velcro as well, but the traditional way with strap and buckle. We give you a little knee measure, which is actually the size of the knee.
Okay.
Some gentlemen have stronger knees than the other side, so that's why each knee is actually measured individually. But that gives you a time frame which gives you the drop, and then the sock gives you a chance that if it gets wet, you can just change the socks.
Without having to change your entire trousers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, how this tradition has really evolved over the decades and even centuries, and is so just rich with history and with detail.
Yeah. Detail is all about detail. It's all about getting it right, and it's all about practicalities. Because it's no point giving you these kind of pockets when you have a long shoot with many shells to keep.
Yeah.
With no loader, you're going to need shells. So that's where the bellows pockets come into it, giving you lots of opportunities. You'll have obviously your shell bag with you as well, but one time you'll have the odd shell that you can reach to.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to be out there for 3 or 4 hours on the moors, so it's a long day.
Yeah. And again, what you wear really can't be overstated in terms of its importance. I mean, everything in England or the United Kingdom really revolves around tradition. So being invited to a shoot and showing up improperly dressed would be just as embarrassing as showing up to black tie, wearing just a normal suit.
Yeah,
or even worse, tweeds.
Yep. No, I think that's what you would say, that the actual shooting parties that we do typically would be certainly a 3-piece. So you get your waistcoat, jacket plus 2s, standard.
Okay.
You can actually build on that. You can actually have what we call the 4-piece, where we actually give you a pair of casual trousers as well, because just in case you just have a lunch to go, you have a pair of casuals. And then, of course, the 5 pieces with obviously the matching cap that you get the whole piece together.
Yeah.
And that's what we tend to do.
Yeah.
This brings us to basically going through the shooter with you.
Yeah, please.
And how you want it. I think number 1 would be the 3-piece. So that gives you the chance to have a 3-piece here, where you have obviously the waistcoat coming through. So again, a nice waistcoat with a little collar on there. You can see on side the top there.
Would you do a 3-roll too? Is that what traditional?
No, I would definitely do a button 3. So it's going to finish at that point there.
Okay.
You only button the center point here.
Okay.
But the point being is that actually it's a very high closing, just for the temperatures and keeping you warm. Yeah. So I think with a lounge jacket, if you're going to be more lounge shooting, you might want to contemplate the 2-button. But certainly with most shoots, it's 3-button.
3-button.
With a waistcoat.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good. So going back to the jacket, this is a standard sort of jacket. Again, I think we're going to go more towards the bellows pockets, so the more practicality and keeping shells versus just for show, just a little pocket. I think that we're going to give you that lovely pleat at the back here. You can see here we have what's called the shooting pleat, one here going through, and this will actually continue down to the belt here. And go across here. So this will be the half belt with a shooting pleat, and that gives you a little bit of reach.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if it's some shoots, you'll actually do overhead shots. You might well be taking the jacket off and just having a waistcoat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is all built into the jacket to help keep it seated really on the collar as you're moving around.
Exactly.
And to give you the flexibility.
Yeah. The flexibility comes with the movement of the arm. It gives you the pleat in the back here. You can see how that's moving as well. Okay. But it always comes back and clears up, so when you're standing there, it's a nice clean back. That's what you want to have. It's a good mark of tailoring there. Okay, so we'll do the half belt. It's a little nice feature as well. But I think we'll move towards the practical side. So we will keep still the pocket on the top here, but we will now introduce the bellows pockets. And we might even give you the inverted pocket that gives you another pleat in the front here that even more shells can be carried in. So bellows pockets with inverted pleats.
Probably going to need extra shells.
Well, the thing is that there's nothing worse than being 5 hours on a range or on a moor and you're out of shells. I mean, you've got to carry these things, and you'll be with an estate ghillie or a gamekeeper that will be with you, but he'll be taking good care of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So other details would be, mixing up a bit. We can do little flaps with the waistcoat, welted with the waistcoat. Just gets a bit more countrified. When it comes down to the pockets and pleats, there's a little bit of manoeuvre and width of the trousers, of the +2s, that gives you a bit of chance to manoeuvre as well. So I think all those things would come together to give you the style of the shooting suit.
Yeah, this is really incredible. I mean, it's an absolute minefield for an American. I mean, because very rarely is an American having anything made to go shooting in, much less to this nuanced kind of level of detail and differentiation. Of course, this is what's so great about the bespoke experience, is having someone like yourself, Simon, who's been doing this, for countless years, and having been taught by your father, who himself had been doing it for countless years. And so that's the beauty of working with a bespoke tailoring house such as Poole, is the certainty in knowing that you're being well guided and choosing, or at least commissioning, a proper suit.
Well, it's got to be about, 30-odd years, I confess, Kirby, that I've been doing this. And, obviously my father, my grandfather, and not only that, it's the clients we have, that there's many stories that they bring to the table, that from their experience, why they had that pocket, why they had that feature. And that's what we learn from them too. So being with the customer, experiencing the suits over those years, all that little knowledge goes into it. And of course, with the fabrics as well, we get to know about the fabrics and the durabilities, the practicalities, and the weights that we need to have for the regions you're shooting in. So yes, there's in America's shoot down in Quail, down in Savannah, Georgia. You can then go to Spain and shoot. Temperature changes again. There's lots of regions around the world where people shoot and drive to do sport, and that's what our knowledge comes into. And the dress sense, of course, how they're very different.
Well, and of course, it's not lost on me also that your clients are the actual estate landowners, right? So you're making for the people with whom someone like me would want to make sure that I fit in with, or don't at least embarrass myself within their company. And so again, that kind of perspective and guidance is really reassuring to me that we're on the right path here. So this is quite exciting. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. As I say, these people who have the estates, it's a lifetime for them. They've done that for centuries. They've passed the generations down. They've farmed, and they've made this happen to make this part of their estate and an income for it. And it's very much goes into a wilder area, not only into what they produce, but it goes into the estate communities as well, exactly. So you'll see how that works with the whole community, and not just the estate, but the actual town, the villages, the supply chain that works together and feeds and maintains such a status.
Like with all things, I mean, ensuring that you spend the extra time and energy to understand the dress code, really in deference to just this rich history, tradition, and heritage. So,
well, let's go and choose some suitable fabrics to go with the event itself.
Sure.
Okay. So Kirby, this is pretty much a little substance here, gives you of the various types of actual shooting and sports jacketing, I suppose you would say, that what comes with the actual terminology.
Well, it's a wide range. I mean, this is
just a few. We have more than this, But what we want to look to now is the practicalities of what you're going to be shooting for, and temperature-wise, and the durabilities. This is what this arranges here. So we can start with the format. So you can say that there's some fabulous check designs here, quite looking estate tweeds here. There's very much a softer looking sports jacket as well. So again, you can see that from a distance this will just blend into one colour, while from a distance you will always be able to see the Prince of Wales check from the strength of it. So again, estate tweeds would be the strength, the look, the boldness. More the sports jacketing is a bit softer, just easier on the palate.
And so I guess on an estate, since the estate tweeds are used for identification, something like this at a distance wouldn't at all be useful, right? You wouldn't be able to differentiate that, whereas something slightly bolder, right, Prince of Wales, some
Prince of Wales, Dog's Tooth overchecks, window panes are very much also popular. You can get a strong one, and you can get a very sort of muted one. So just for example, there's a blue there, but again, that's really is a sort of sports jacket versus a shooting.
And this is only 11 ounces, which, as you said, is quite lightweight.
And how does it feel to you?
Well, it feels very soft. It's got cashmere in it.
So that's, again,
beautiful hand,
impractical. You will get through that with a little bit of gauze. That will be gone within a few hours. Now we move on to the next finish, which is called the worsted tweed. So again, it's a tweed finish, but it's a very smooth finish. Again, really is for the sports jacket type of article, not necessarily for shooting. And the next range up is in now to your weights. So we've gone now from 11s into the 14, 15 ounce, getting a bit more durable, a bit more heavy, a bit cooler climates.
Proper cloth.
Proper cloth, the proper cloths. And these are now the sort of border tweeds. You can feel the difference, a bit more robust, it's full-bodied, it's going to be the durabilities. Now, this is for stand shoots, this is for stalking to a mild degree, but it gives you the both attitudes. And then we finally go into the real toughies. Over here, the hard twists, the thorn proofs.
Really?
And these are much more the sort of 1920s, bolder finishes to them, and the durability changes altogether. So you will be seen from a lot further distance than the moor.
Yeah. And so this is hard wearing.
That's hard wearing. That's going to be the one for your gorse. You can go rummaging around on the ground. It's going to, it's going to hold its shape. It's going to hold off the dampness and all the sort of impracticalities that you get from shooting and come back with, and it basically will hold itself out.
Yeah. Because you are out in the environment. I mean, this isn't done from a parlor.
You'll be out there from 7 in the morning start to right way into the late afternoon, evening sometimes. So you've got to be warm and practical, and that's what these things are.
Yeah. And then what role? Of course, now you've got all the Gore-Tex fabrics and everything, of which you guys have even used in some of your overcoats and raincoats. But talk to me a little bit about the role of the natural wool. Because it is natural. I mean, it's a product of the environment, and so therefore it's very naturally.
I think there's two sides to that. There is a practical side to having a man-made fabrics such as these high-tech. They have them in the very much the gilets you see today. There's a lot of practical sides to it, but that's not a formal side to it.
Yeah.
When you come to the UK or you go to sort of formal shoots, you still have to make the effort to something that looks very much designed and cut for you. So therefore the wool still very much gives that influence to a tailoring aspect. And that's why, there is a way to choose practical things here. You can do shooting pleats or shooting patches with suede. You can do, even to soften the actual recoil, you can actually have a jelly pad that sits inside the suit. You can actually place it inside, take it out. There is things that we adapt to make these things happen. But realistically, when it comes down to a proper dress, the wool, the tweeds are still very much the place to go to.
And they were kind of the original performance fabrics. I mean, they wick moisture, they dry.
Yeah.
They don't. You still stay warm while if they get wet.
That's it. No, and then they just go on and on. If you treat them rightly and hang them out, they just come back, and it just looks like they've just been pressed, for the next day. And that's what you need to do. Yeah. So I think if we head to the middle range, we're going to be, we're going to be stalking. We're going to be up there in the moors, but. We're going to be maybe stand shoots as well. So you'll be with a loader and you'll be shooting and stand shooting and watching the birds come over to you, or you'll be driving with dogs going in searching for the birds being flushed out. But stalking is a very different thing altogether. Yeah. So if we stick in the middle terrain, let's try and find something that suits you.
Well, I kind of, again, defer to your expertise. I think, again, that's one of the values of working with a great tailor is that perspective and experience. So I'm going to kind of lean on you a little bit here to kind of guide me, maybe make a few recommendations, and then we can kind of go from there. Yeah.
Well, I think we should defer back to some of the great old colourways of Scotland and the lowlands, the highlands. And I think that, we've got things like the Prince of Wales, the check here, we've seen that. That's very much what the Prince of Wales would have had back in the day to resemble very much what the Glenurquhart check was, the Seafield check. We could then go on to what we call the window pane, a bit strong, and that's always not the best for certain customers because it makes them very boxy. So I think we should stick to a sort of Prince of Wales. And I think the other thing is the colourways of brown, sort of the greens, and I think we should go mid-term. So I think what we call the Lovat is a great colour, which is very much a Scottish colourway. So I think if we can combine the two, and perhaps if we have a situation where we can actually get the two together, and I'm just thinking of one of the designs here, maybe, let's have a look. I'm thinking, how about that? This is a nice look design here. We've got the lovely Lovat, we've got a Prince of Wales, and we can use that as very much sort of defining from a distance the actual shooting district check. But nevertheless, it's timeless, it's going to be long-term, so in 10, 20 years' time, you can still look very elegant with this colour. Okay,
I love the nice olive green, I think is a beautiful color. It's very elegant. But as you said, this has a little bit of a bolder check to it, right? So it's still quite, quite defining.
Yeah, we don't necessarily need this strength.
Okay.
But I think this is a very much balanced.
And what's the weight of this?
This is going to be under about 14, 15 ounces.
15?
Yeah.
Okay. And then right here we're looking at
that's about
18.
That's about 18.
Yeah.
Bit more durable, bit more heavy. But I think if we're going to go in between the UK shooting or obviously England shooting up to the lowlands, up to the highlands, this will be sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. Well, again, when in the presence of someone that knows more than you, defer to their expertise. I think we'll do that here.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
thank you.
We can do that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this actual mill is from Hoik, which is actually spelt like a Harwick, but they call it Hoik. So you'll get used to that terminology as well.
Okay, Hoik. And which mill is this?
It's something called Lovett Mill.
Lovett.
Which is up in Hoik in the border countries.
Yeah, and so all this is being woven, up there in this region.
Authentic district checks come from this area, estate tweeds.
Yeah.
This mill is fantastic for it.
Okay. How long have you guys been working with them? Probably
Golly.
Since the beginning?
So Stephen and Alan, when I was about 17, 18, we knew each other from sourcing fabrics. So they were young men in designing fabrics back in the mill days. And they later went on to actually invest into a mill. And this is where we are today.
Wow.
So we've known each other for a good many years.
Yeah. Great, brilliant. So what is the next step then?
So the next step, we've got now the style, and we're going to go for a measure and just measure you up. We'll take obviously all your sizings, about 36 measures, including obviously the waistcoat for the +4s. So we're measuring your knee sizes, and then it goes through back to Joe at the back here, who'll be cutting out your fabric. And Alex will be measuring you up and making you a paper pattern.
Yeah. So Alex, one of the head cutters, will do the measures, right? Draft the pattern, then I guess hand it over to his undercutter to actually strike the fabric and cut it.
That's it. And it goes down to Maria, and who's going to be making the coat. And there's also going to be Zaina, who's going to be doing your lovely waistcoat. Yeah. And there'll be Joyce, who's going to be doing your trousers, or your +2s, +4s.
And of course, the provenance of a proper Savile Row bespoke garment is really today means that it's really made all here on premises.
One of the things behind Poole is that we've always been very proud of the fact that things are cut and made on the premises. Alas, the word pure bespoke.
Yes.
Pure means to us
to
actually see the people making it and to see the people downstairs making it. And any one time, the joy is customers love to come in and see that progress on their suit, which is quite special.
Yeah, and it allows the control in order to ensure the quality, because at this level it is the highest quality.
Yeah. This is about 5 years of training that really determine the person to make that garment. And whether you're making a morning coat to a dinner suit to just a classic sports suit, it's all down to that person each time learning the different fabrics they're working with. And that's experience and time.
Brilliant. Beautiful. I'm excited. Thank you.
So follow me down on Kirby. So you can see some of the things we've made. Swords we still can sell to you on this side here. Yeah. And I'm going to introduce it to Alex, who's going to be here to take your measures.
Right.
Come on inside. Alex, so Kirby's chosen 3-piece, button 3, with half belt, shooting pleat, waistcoat, and also +4s.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 4s.
Yeah, 4s it is.
Okay. All right, just pop your arms out, Kirby, thanks. $39. So we'll cut the +4s for braces as well.
Yep.
So for the brace waist, we'll go 34.
Okay.
And having double pleats.
Double pleats it is, yep. There's a room for moving around.
41.
41.
Just got to get your armhole, Kirby, because got to make sure we get a nice high armhole on a shooting suit. So you got plenty of. You'll have the pleats, but you still want a nice.
That's the hallmark of any pool suit, really.
Yeah, we always do, but especially on a shooting suit, if you had a deep armhole, you'd have to have a huge coat, otherwise you just won't move. 9 3/4 side, wedge back 1 inch. Just take the small for the. 45. 33. So that gives a quite nice
It's
high
nice,
rise. This is a small
Okay.
for the
small
band on the
version.
+4s. 14.5. Just check the other one in case you've got a particularly large thigh on somebody. No, that's fine.
Okay,
No.
both sides, yeah.
Yep. Both. I have that. I'll just do a waistcoat. So go 11, 21. Okay, so we're going to wedge the back up. Prominent blades, especially on that right side. So we'll have to draw that in really nicely there. And quite hollow in the small of the back as well. So we'll need quite a lot of back balance in there. Actually, I've seen some things where you do take a lot of back balance to get that sitting nicely in the back. And then quite slopey shoulders there. SC, DR. Otherwise, yeah, that's fine. You're pretty good.
Well,
All good.
other than the terrible shoulder,
Yeah, I mean,
concave back.
we'll probably just put, we don't like over padding things, but I think in your case, especially on the right, we might just put a slightly heavier padding
Okay.
just to get a
Even
nice
that.
shoulder line. And then the important thing with you is going to be keeping the collar right up on your shirt.
Yeah.
We don't want any
Big challenge.
fingers down there.
Yep.
It can be done with balance. You just,
Tailoring.
you can't do too much, otherwise
Yeah.
you'll never sort of be able to lift your head up when you're walking around. But yeah, we'll get that nice and locked on.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, just slightly, I wouldn't say improve the shoulder line,
Yeah.
but just change
Alter
it a bit.
Alter it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else kind of challenging about the cut that you can think that you see?
I don't think so. I mean, you've got a nice slim figure, and it's always nice when somebody have got quite a hollow back to get, because you can really cut that in and then hopefully get a bit of skirt on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will get some skirt on. You haven't got anything there that we would call love handles.
No.
Yeah, we don't really have
How
a better
about
term.
closing the leg a bit there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll close the legs. Just if you just put your feet together, these are fine. But just to swing your crease over a bit, make sure that's nice and level. No, otherwise it's just your sort of downright and the balance really that's going to take a little bit. And then I will put a small sort of stomach cut in. Not that you've got a stomach, but it'll just help keep it short at the sides, and just throw a bit of length over there, because yeah, it just looks like you need a bit more length down
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, no, all good. And then these blades. So obviously, if you had a really lightweight jacket where you can't really shrink this area away so much, that's where it could get problematic on you. Fortunately, you're having a 16-ounce
Yeah.
tweed or 14-ounce
So the heavier
tweed.
the fabric, the more you can use the iron.
Yeah, because you know your lightweight 7-ounce would come round this, and then you've effectively got cloth sitting here, and it's not like it's ladies' wear where we could take a nice dart out to really pull that into your armhole. So it's tailoring. You know, again, we don't want to overly pad things, but we will have to. We call it bridling in this, and then we'll shrink it away. You can't do so much with a really lightweight cloth.
Yeah.
They'll just pucker, but the nice heavy wools you can really get on a ham and just shrink it in nicely. So
With the heavier weight step drapes.
yeah,
Very nice anyway.
I mean for this
Tweeds,
actually,
flannels.
you're
Lovely.
you're having the shooting pleats on this,
Yeah.
so it's not actually as big a deal. But yeah, you would. It will take some moulding as well as pattern cutting, which is what our tailors are good at.
Yeah,
Fortunately.
brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, that's
Thank
all
you.
good.
and we'll see you fitting.
Yeah.
Thanks
Can't
very
wait.
much. Yeah, be great.
Pleasure, Kirby. Always.
Yeah.
Well, you and I selected the fabric, so basically it was my job then to go styling it with you, reaching out to the mill. I mean, I see that, I see one colour, and then I come closer to it and I start seeing the greens and the yellows.
And that's what gives tweed its vibrancy. It's using these rich colour mixtures.
The basic weaving principle is still as it was done over 100 years ago on this site in Hawick. So we're still the basic principle, but now we're weaving on carbon fibre rapier machines.
And then, meanwhile, Alex has been cutting your patterns from the measures he took, about 30-odd measures from the body. Distributes it with the trimmings, the canvassing, the melton, the lapped hair, the pocketings, all get bundled together and given out to the relevant parties making your garment.
And of course, you know, whenever it comes to shooting, the guns are just as important, if not more important, than the clothing itself. And there's no better place in all of England to be kitted out for that than here at Purdy. So.
In your case, I've actually selected a fantastic brace of heritage guns, which I would love to show you, which I think will be ideal for what you're going to be doing in Scotland.
Can we see them?
Well done. Good shooting. If it wasn't for the job that we do, the probability is we would see far less wildlife.
I mean, this is absolutely stunning. And I can really see the importance of the work that you're doing here as a gamekeeper.
Welcome to Craig's Anchor Estate.
Yeah, I think I could live like this.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, welcome to Craig's Anchor Estates and Birkhill Castle. Today we're going to be shooting driven pheasants. Enjoy your day.